Imagine this, you have spent years building an online business, finding customers, creating content, building trust, and growing a community. Then one morning, you open the app and your account is gone. No warning, no explanation, no phone number to call, nothing. Now, whether that has happened to you or not, it raises an interesting question. Who actually controls the app we use every day? Think about it. YouTube, Instagram, Uber, Spotify. We spend years on these platforms, building businesses, growing audiences, and creating relationships. They feel like part of our digital lives, but ultimately, they belong to someone else. And most of the time, that's completely fine. The companies behind these apps build them, improve them, fix bugs, and handle support, and make sure everything keeps running. And that's one of the biggest reasons these companies became successful. People generally don't mind giving up some control if the product works well. But it also means the company makes the rules. And experiences like this led some developers to ask a simple question. Could the internet work differently? It's a bit like renting an apartment. Imagine you have rented the same apartment for 10 years. You have decorated it, filled it with furniture, made memories there. Now it feels like home. But one day, the owner changes the rules, and suddenly you are reminded of something. It felt like your home, but it wasn't. Now that's when you realize something. The platform may feel like yours. The business may feel like yours. The audience may feel like yours. But ultimately, you are building on someone else's property. So some developers started wondering, could users have more say? Could they keep more control over what they build? That question eventually led to something called a DApp or a dApp. dApp stands for Decentralized Application. And before you assume that's automatically better, it's not that simple. Some things get better, some things become harder. Let's start with a simple explanation. A dApp usually looks like a normal app from the outside. The difference is hidden underneath. In a traditional app, the important rules usually live on company servers. In a dApp, some of those rules live on a blockchain instead. That's the key idea. Now here's something important. Many people hear the word decentralized and assume there is no company involved. That's not true. Many famous dApps were built by companies. They are still improved by companies, maintained by teams, and supported by developers. The difference isn't that the companies disappeared. The difference is that some of the rules move away from company servers onto a blockchain. So the real question isn't company or no company. The real question is who controls what. And that's where things become interesting. Take social media. Today, a company decides how the platform works, what features get added, how moderation happens, and how your data is handled. A decentralized social network might handle some of those decisions differently. But that immediately creates another question. If someone starts posting harmful content, who decides what stays and what goes? The company, the community, or the independent moderators? The truth is, the industry is still figuring that out. And that's why dApps should be viewed as experiments, not perfect replacements for everything we already use. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone willingly accept the extra complexity of a dApp? That's a fair question. And so far, dApps seem strongest in two areas. The first is money. Sending money around the world usually involves banks, payment networks, business hours, and approvals. dApps are exploring ways to move value directly between two people, any time of the day, any day of the week. The second is digital ownership. Imagine buying a special car skin in a racing game. Normally, that skin stays trapped inside that game. If the game shuts down, your skin disappears with it. Some blockchain games are exploring a different idea. What if you truly own that skin? In theory, you could take that car skin from one racing game and use it in another compatible racing game instead of leaving it behind. Will that actually happen? We will have to wait and see. But that's one of the possibilities dApps are trying to unlock. Now let's look at what people are actually using dApps for today. One of the biggest categories is finance. Platforms like Uniswap allow people to swap digital assets directly. Platforms like Aave allow people to lend and borrow crypto. Another category is social networks. Projects like Farcaster are experimenting with different approaches to online identity and community. Then there are online communities like Nouns where members participate in decisions together, and blockchain games like Axie Infinity, which helped introduce millions of people the idea of digital ownership. Now, here's something many people don't realize. There aren't just a few dApps, there are thousands of them. Platforms like DappRadar track more than 11,000 dApps across different blockchains. Some are tiny experiments, others have become major pieces of crypto infrastructure. And just like your phone has an app store, the Web3 world has places where people discover dApps. Some blockchain ecosystems have even experimented with dedicated dApp stores. Solana, for example, explored its own dApp store approach to make discovering Web3 apps easily. That tells us something important. dApps are no longer just an idea. They are already an ecosystem. But before we conclude that dApps are the future, we should talk about the trade-offs. Remember the apartment example? More control often comes with more responsibility, and dApps are no exception. If a traditional app has a problem, there is usually a company responsible for fixing it. If your account gets locked, there is support. If a payment fails, there is someone to contact. In a decentralized system, that answer is not always clear. If something breaks, who fixes it? If there is a dispute, who makes the decision? If money is lost because of a bug, who is responsible? Because removing the middleman also removes some of the services middlemen used to provide. History has shown these risks are real. Some dApps failed because of bugs, and others failed because the business didn't work. Entire communities have learned expensive lessons. At the same time, some dApps have grown into products used by millions of people around the world. We are seeing both successes and failure at the same time. And here's one final thing that's worth remembering. Many dApps aren't as decentralized as people imagine. You might be using an app built by a company, while some of the important rules behind it run on a blockchain. That's how many dApps work today. And that's probably the most important lesson from this video. dApps are not magic. They are not perfect replacements for every app, and they are not trying to eliminate every company. They are simply exploring a different balance between convenience, control, transparency, and responsibility. Before you go, I would love to hear your opinion. Think about the apps you use every day. Would you actually want a decentralized version of any app? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.